Now, in the second instance, that Miss K. Liyanage is going to present her paper. She is a lecturer or facilitator in the University of Sri Javadanpura. She is engaged in teaching English. I think she is a graduate of Sri Kalani University, as well as the postgraduate person, qualified postgraduate MA in General Linguistics from the Kalani University. I invite Ms. Liyanage to present her paper.
On the acquisition of English as second language at the critical age. So we move on. As an introduction, I can tell you that the critical age plays a crucial role, a significant role in language acquisition. Critical age starts from the birth and ends from puberty. So it is strongly believed that it is ending from the puberty. And a person should obtain, or a person should acquire the first language within the period of the critical age to gain the native like fluency. But apart from the first language, a person can gain many other languages as language 2, second language, where the native like fluency is gained when it is acquired in the period of the critical age. So moving on, I have been in the hypothesis that exposure to language 2 at the critical age speed up the language acquisition of a child. So we can move on to the research question. I have developed this question to conduct my research, that is, how does a child acquire the language 2 when he or she is exposed to the language 2 at critical age? So once we think of the global trend, we can see there are many instances where children learn many second languages in the other countries of the world. For example, they learn French, Spanish, Latin, Italian, English, if English is not the first language. So we can see those trends in the other parts of the world. But what happens in the Sri Lankan context? Most of the time we are specified, or we give the priority to learn Sinhala or Tamil as the first language. And if a person is speaking Sinhalese as a first language, they can learn Tamil or English as second language. If a person is learning, if the person's mother tongue is Tamil, he or she can learn Sinhala or English as a second language. So that is actually in countries like Sri Lanka, it happens depending upon the interest, or mainly depending upon the need. Okay, the aims and objectives of my research is to encourage parents and to make awareness among commoners about the importance of learning second languages in the critical period of a child. The second one is to find out a child's capacity of second language acquisition during the period of critical age, that is, how far the age can determine the skill gained in the period of his life. To count the different environments and to count the different environments of the students came from, and how the environment can help them to expose to the second language at different ages and situations. Because I have found that the environment and the family background is also two factors which can determine the competence of the second language. Going towards the methodology and the experimental design, I have identified the variables, independent variables and dependent variables. The independent variables are exposure to environment, family background and time. Time is the age of exposure. The dependent variable is the second language competence, where the dependent variable, as it states, it is depending on the independent variables. the second language competence can be different among children depending on the exposure to environment, depending on their family background, and depending on the age of exposure, that is represented as time. The population, I have taken 100 subjects who are studying in grade 3. They were studying in grade 3, 100 subjects were selected. But there's a difference between the subjects. 50 of them started studying English as a second language at the age of 3 to 4. But the other 50 students, they started studying English at the age of 8 to 9. So that is the difference between the two groups. As a method, I can state that the study was conducted by using primary data. A question paper was given on listening, where the listening passage was read once, and then they had to answer the questions. They were given 20 minutes, and this listening passage was read once again. The marks were counted from 100. And then the writing question paper contained 100 marks. They were allocated with 1 hour's time. So the writing section had 5 subsections, that is, one is vocabulary, one is grammar, sentence construction, close passage, and comprehension. All the questions were selected and developed which as it suits to a student of grade 3. And results contain both quantitative and qualitative data. If I mention the qualitative data, I can say the fluency, the thinking power of a child, organizing the language in mind, memory, constructing sentences and ideas in mind, family background, environment the student comes from, that is a student versus teacher, student versus colleague, student versus parent. When we consider the quantitative data, I can say that is time, age, and the mark score. And the analysis was done using SPSS and Microsoft Excel. Now, the application of this research is basically for the second language learners, because the subjects were learning Sinhala as the first language. So that is language 1, and they were studying in Sinhala medium. So the application can be done for the ones who are studying English as a second language. As the limitations of the research, I can give, the students were studying in a school classroom environment. I have chosen the school environment, and the students were chosen who were studying in grade 3. 50 of them were studying English at the age of 3 to 4. The remaining 50 started studying English at the age of 9. The activities took place in the English medium. The activities were done by students individually without any help of their teacher or parent. The testing took place in a classroom environment, which the listening paper was allocated with 20 marks and 20 minutes, and 1 hour was allocated for writing. The students were not prepared beforehand to face the activities. The activities which were given for testing remained untold beforehand. So those were the limitations of my research. Now, coming up to the results, I have given the demographic data analysis which I have created from the results. So there we can see the sample size is 50 for both group A and B. The schools which I have selected, group A belongs to Musaeus College, Colombo, and group B belongs to Aravula Vidyaloka Vidyalaya. Both age groups were 8 years. Both groups of students were 8 years old, and exposure to language 2, group A was at 3 to 4 years, and group B was from 7 to 8 years. Family background, when we consider the family background, group A, the English usage was high, but in group B, the English usage was nil. Exposure to environment has tendencies to use English, but in group B, the English usage of the environment exposed was nil. So, as I said, I have taken age, family background, and environment as the 3 main factors to see the competence of the second language. Once I analyzed the results, the listening results were as follows. The cross tabulation, it varies from poor to good, only from poor to good. That means from 0 marks to 20 marks, I categorize it as poor. From 21 to 40, it was below average. Then 41 to 60, it was average. 61 to 80, it was good. And 81 to 100 was excellent. Now there were none for excellent category. But in the poor category, all 50 students of group B, that is non-critical age group, were fallen under the category poor. 7 students from the critical age group were there in the poor category. So we can see the percentage of each of them. And likewise, it differs. Now in below average, there are no one in the below average group from non-critical age group. Like that, the total comes to 100%. And the graphs also shows how the critical age group, that means 50 students of the critical age group, differs from poor to good. But the non-critical age group falls only under poor category. All 50 were under poor category. In the writing section also, the cross tabulation and the graph was given there. Fortunately, there was one student from the critical age group who falls under excellent category. Same as the previous one, all the students of the non-critical age group were fallen under the poor category, but there were all 5 sections in the critical age group. So we can see the difference between the critical age group and the non-critical age group. When considering the average, it was the same. The critical age group differed from poor, below average, average and good, but the non-critical age group falls only under poor category. So we can see the difference between the competence. Also, ANOVA was computed and it was signified as 0.001 in both listening and writing. In findings, I can present that exposure to language 2 at the critical age speed up the language acquisition of the child, which is the major finding of the research. Also, influence of the family background plays a significant role. Also, the environment which the child is exposed to plays a significant role in language acquisition. The discussion, we can see what was stated by the following people. For example, I can present, due to the time limit, I can present a few of them. Krishna K. Bista has told that age is an important concept in second language acquisition. So Mark Tavosky has told that native-like language abilities and performance level are lower in older children than younger children. So likewise, there are many statements given by the following people regarding the age of exposure, regarding the family background, and also regarding the exposure to the environment. So the names are given, and there are many statements given by these people regarding those factors I mentioned. Apart from that, scholars have told many things about, many statements they have found about critical age as a crucial factor, namely David Crystal, Leonard Bloomfield, Lev Vygotsky, Professor Lydia White, Roger Browns, Stephen Krashen, Sharad Rajanwale are some of them. As a conclusion, I can say the subjects who were exposed to language 2 at the age of critical period showed better performance. Favorable environment in the family and the favorable environment in the with consideration to relations can be school, colleagues, friends, that help the subjects to be more competent in language 2. So I can say that the hypothesis is proved, that is the exposure to language 2 at the critical age can speed up the language 2 acquisition of a child. The recommendations are there, which I have given in my research. The recommendations are as follows: exposure to language 2 at the critical age by parents and caregivers. The parents and the caregivers, also the teachers, can motivate the children to learn second language at their critical age. Preschool education at the early childhood is another recommendation. Learning the basics of language 2 as a subject, because we have seen sometimes at the end of the critical period only the local government syllabus, they start studying English at grade 3 or after that. So what I recommend is, we can, even though we study in our native language as a medium, we can study English as a subject. Language 2 as a medium of education. We have seen some students who are studying from English medium from the beginning. It may not be their mother tongue, but their medium of education is English. And then the usage of language 2 at home environment, exposure to an environment that supports L2 learning. Because in the non-critical age group, which I mentioned as group B, they didn't have any exposure at home, because the parents' education level or their knowledge regarding English as a language was nil, and even from the environment, maybe the relatives, maybe school, maybe friends, they didn't have any exposure to English as a second language. They didn't have any support like that. And also, I can recommend language games. Language games can be designed in all 4 components, can be listening, can be reading, can be writing, can be listening. So we can divide and design language games in all 4 components. Actually, in my research, I didn't take, I only took listening and writing, because I did spoken and reading as well in the pilot test, but I understood that the students were, because they are just studying in grade 3, they were studying in grade 3, so they were very exhausted and very tired after doing all the 4 components of the research. So I thought that from the pilot test, I thought I should limit only for 2 components to get my findings, because I saw once all the components were examined, the students were very tired and they couldn't concentrate properly for the experiment. For future research, I can say the sample size can be extended, because I have taken 100 people for the sample. The sample size can be extended. The research can conduct not only in English, also taking other languages as second language. The research can be done on different age groups, also examining all 4 components of the language. Further, the research can be extended to the other parts of the country, because I have centralized this and I have focused this on Colombo. So even in the future researchers, they can spread it into the other parts of the country to see how the performance and the competence of second language of the students is. Thank you very much.